She's smiling at her big brother. Comes big sister to say hello. Are you gonna give her a kiss? A morning kiss? Hello everyone, welcome back to Thousands of Roots. I'm Carrie, and today I'm going to tackle a question that we get asked a lot, and that is, where do I get my head coverings? So I'm going to attempt to show you a very easy way that I make a no-sew head covering. So no sewing machine needed. It's super simple. Before I get to that though, I've got to tackle a bunch of dishes. And along the lines of dishes, we've also been asked why we use paper plates. It's something that we've done for a few years now because of the season that we're in. It's a very busy season of life, building a home and homestead and homeschooling and just a lot going on, not to mention YouTubing. So for me, because of where we're at in life, I only do dishes once a day, and that's to conserve on time and water. And I honestly don't think we have enough plates to last our whole family for an entire day. So that's one issue, but then mostly it's just the time. We could get more plates if we wanted to, but for me it just saves me so much time not having all of those plates to do on top of all the other dishes. I hope to get away from it in the future, but for now that's what we do, paper plates. I like to wash my dishes in hot water because pretty much everything we eat has butter residue, oil residue, and that sort of thing in it, and the hot water to me makes it much more pleasant to do dishes in. My hands, it's a lot more pleasant. I do still use soap, but I'm so inspired by Sarah Kellogg, so someday I'll probably switch to essential oils because this is very expensive to get the natural kind of soap. So, thank you for the inspiration, Sarah. Here we go. Lots of dishes. If only I could do this. It always feels good to have the dishes done for the day. Now on to head coverings. I actually have not always worn a head covering. It's a fairly new practice for me just over the last few years. Because of my wearing the head covering, we've had a lot of people curious about what religion we are. We're actually not a part of any denomination. If you were to look up Messianic Jews, that's probably the closest thing to give you a good idea of what we believe. We just simply do our best to follow the whole of Scripture, both the Old and the New Testament, as the Father leads us. And we obviously have a whole lot more to learn. We're learning more every single day. So we don't have it all figured out. We're just on a journey, and we're enjoying this journey. Look who's in my lap. She's giving smiles. So sweet. So there's really only one passage that talks about the head covering in any kind of detail in the Bible, and that's in Corinthians. As I grew into a woman and began to look at that passage, I understood it to mean that my actual hair could be a covering for me and that I didn't need a physical veil of any kind on my head. And that's because of the verse in that passage that says a woman's hair is for her covering. Well, that little word "for" can be interpreted two different ways. You could look at it as that her hair is in place of a covering, or it can mean her hair is for the purpose of a covering. When you look at the rest of the passage, it's very clear that that little word "for" means that the hair is for the purpose of a covering. In Alaska, Kip actually did a whole teaching on the subject, and through his teaching and through just digging in deeper to especially that one verse and that little word "for," I realized that I needed to have more than just my hair as my covering, that a physical veil was what that was talking about. And there was a good reason for it. So I started wearing the covering just during our fellowship church meetings. I didn't really understand the fullness of the passage at that point, but at least it was a start. And then we moved to Missouri, and I met some other people that were head coverings, and they began to share their testimony with me. That passage also speaks of the importance of wearing the covering during prayer for the woman. The man doesn't wear the covering, but the woman does wear the covering during prayer. So I realized that if I'm to follow Scripture that says I'm to pray without ceasing, so to pray often, then how do I practically make that work with the covering? Do I put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off? That just wouldn't work. And so I decided at that point to just start wearing the covering all the time. That was the most practical thing to do. For me, I felt that that was the best way I could obey that passage of scripture and be obedient to the heart of my Creator, my Father, Yahweh. So for me, it's a pretty simple thing, and it's in no way a burden. I've actually come to find it as such a blessing in my life. It's very practical for me. It makes getting ready for my day very simple. I used to have to spend a lot of time dealing with my super curly hair every day, and now it's so easy to just put the covering on. It doesn't matter if I have a bad hair day, it's covered and I'm good to go. Beyond the practical aspect of it, spiritually, there's just something really peaceful about having the covering on. Just as Kip, my husband, is one of his created rules is to be my protector and our children's protector. The covering is a protection spiritually, and I don't fully understand it, but I believe that the instruction was put there in scripture for a reason, and all scripture is important. And so I choose to follow it, plain and simple. Just walk in obedience in that way, in love for my Creator. So that's why I wear the head covering. And for those of you wanting to know where I get my coverings, I actually make them. I use an organic interlock fabric, and that makes it so I don't have to do any sewing. The interlock does not fray and unravel like other fabrics, so there's no need to sew. Today I'm going to be using some fabric that I actually intended to make into shirts for myself and maybe for the girls, and I just have not had time. I've had the fabric for years, so I may still use it for some short shirts, but in the meantime I'm going to make some head coverings, and so I'll show you how I do that today. These fabrics are not the most beautiful, but they are some good solid colors that will go with a lot of different outfits, so I think they'll work great. So all I do is I fold the fabric, of course. I'm going to lay down a head covering that I've already cut out on the fold, and I would really like to make a little bit longer head covering this time so that the back of my messy braid is covered. And so today I'm going to actually cut beyond my pattern, my other head cover, to make it a little bit longer. So I use the fabric as my ties. I cut just along the edge and make what I think is about long enough for ties. And then I start to curve up into the fold and go around. Nothing fancy, I just try and make a curve and eventually curve back to the fold. And that is it. It is really that easy. So before I put the head cover on, I go ahead and do the tie because I don't like to tie it when it's on. It pinches my hair. So I go ahead and make the tie first. And then I just throw it over my head, pull it up into place. And then I've got very slippery hair, so I have to use little clips in order to keep the head covering from falling off. So I use 4 clips, 2 on each side. And someday I'd like to figure out a way to cover the clips with some fabric or something so that they don't stand out as much. But for now I just use little miniature stainless steel clips, and that works great. So that's all there is to it, guys. It's so simple. There's all kinds of beautiful head coverings out there. So many neat ideas. For now, this is what I can do. It's simple and super fast and easy, and it's not very expensive. I do not have a pattern to share with you. I'll try and put some approximate measurements down in the description below so that you can, if you'd like to try and make your own this way, you should be able to do that without any problem. Now Esther Pie is going to make a head covering. She likes this green color, so she's going to make her own. She's calling these no-sew head coverings. Right, darling? She was getting fussy while we're making the head coverings, huh? Thanks for holding her.
Yeah.
She's so happy now. Content in your arms. Good job. Let's see how it looks. time for a lunch break. It is so pretty outside and I've been inside all morning, so I'm using this lunch break as an excuse to come out and gather the rest of the family. They've been down working on gathering wood on the side of the road. We had some old trees that needed taken down, and so we're using them for firewood. Hey, you guys ready for a lunch break?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, looks like you got quite a bit of wood. Nice.
Caleb, Josh, and Nathan are the ones that did all this.
Wow. Good work, guys.
Partly me.
And partly
Yep.
you helped out too?
Absolutely.
Yep, and partly me, and I help out too.
He helped me split some too.
Good job, buddy.
Over the spring.
Time for a break, huh?
Yep, lunch break.
Lunch break. So today I just really barely hit on the topic of head covering. There's so much more that could be discussed about the topic, but that's just where I am at for now. If you would like to learn more about the topic of head coverings or hear some other testimonies, check out Rachel's. She's got a series of videos on the topic at Joy-Filled Journey, or Lee from Philia Ministries and Little House on the Mountain. She also has a great testimony, so I'll leave the links to their videos in the description below. Alright guys, thanks for joining me today on this topic of head covers. It's just something that I have chosen to do based on my understanding of Scripture, and everybody is on their own journey and their own walk, and I just really believe that it's something that you have to be convicted of. It's got to be of your heart. It's an outward thing, but more importantly, it's an attitude of the heart. So wherever your heart is, that's where you need to be. Please remember to leave your comments in the community, up on the community page. We really have been enjoying those comments there. And just a little side note, every once in a while comments come on for a few minutes or hours after we post a video, and then they just disappear. We can't even find them in our comment area, so we can't respond to them. So it's a little confusing, I know. I'm not sure what YouTube's doing, but we basically have no control of our comments, and sometimes they're active and then they're gone, and so sorry we haven't been able to respond to any of those people who did catch the little comments while they happened to be on. We had no way to respond. So for now, if you could just leave your comments in on the community page, that's an area that we still have control of. We can respond to those. So thank you to those who are leaving comments there. I pray blessings over you and yours, and whatever you do, do it with your whole heart.
I'm gonna go in the bucket again. I want to float.
Yeah, she's got a dimple right there.
Dimple.
Hi, Tweedledum. Yes, hello. Uh-huh. Oh. Uh-huh. Yeah.